The prepared environment supports creative expression in a number of ways. And the first is through the isolation of difficulty. When we're putting together exercises, we want to make sure that the child is mastering a skill. So we would have a tray for scissors. We would have a tray for painting to learn how to operate a paintbrush. We would have just a tray for oil pastel, so they're learning how to use an oil pastel. We want the child to have the opportunity to master a skill. We can think of the materials used in our art exercises. We want them to be high quality materials. Think of paintbrushes with wooden handles or using natural clay instead of Play-Doh. We want to use breakable objects just in the same manner that we create those practical life exercises. High quality materials that are breakable and that are beautiful. Our art exercises should reflect that as well. Then we're mindful that our exercises are conducive to a cycle of activity. That would be selecting an activity from the shelf, doing the activity, cleaning it up, and putting it away. We don't want to have art exercises that are out open on a table that children just come and go because there's no completion element of that cycle for the child. Another support is how we demonstrate these lessons. We focus on the technique, not an end result. We're using analyzed movements. We're using pauses for points of interest. This is all a nice support for the child in learning the technique and how to use these tools. We can support their creativity through evaluating our own expectations for their work. We're not focusing on end results here. We're focusing on the process. This process is what's inviting for the child in this self-expression that they are engaging in through the use of these materials. Don't correct the child when they're doing their creative work, their artwork. The only time it's appropriate to correct them is if they're misusing the materials, like drawing on the walls or the tabletops. Otherwise, let them free to explore. Art should be available all day for any child in the environment. This is an independent, creative, expressive work. This is why we really don't want to host group lessons for art, because it stifles this creative expression for the child. They begin looking at each other's work, comparing each other's work, and that can be damaging to their own process and to their own self-esteem. Every day, we're going to have children present their work to us and look at what I made. We need to be careful about the responses that we're offering to the child. We want to be sure that we are giving them validation for their work, but not praise so that they stop doing the work for themselves and only do it for the accolades they get from the adult. Some examples of what we could say to the child would be, "Tell me about your artwork. I saw you really enjoying yourself when you were doing your artwork. What was your favorite part about making your art?" These kind of questions allow the child to do a little self-reflecting on how they felt in their own creative process. This is really important. We don't want to give the high fives or the good jobs, but we can give them some validation for their great expression by allowing them to reflect a little bit for themselves. The prepared environment is a great place for the child to creatively express themselves. Part of this is because we're not asking for them to make a product. We are allowing them the space to freely engage with the media, to take their time, to explore. This is important for developing our creative capacity and expressing ourselves.